The story of Stalker Shadow of Chernobyl in short. At the start we see a truck driving through a stormy night having an accident and a stalker who loots the dead bodies the next morning. He finds a survivor and brings him to the local trader. On the PDA of the survivor is a message: kill S.T.A.L.K.E.R. The survivor has an amnesia and is called the Marked One because of the tattoo on his lower arm. The only hint to his old identity is this man called S.T.A.L.K.E.R, and the trader also has an interest to find S.T.A.L.K.E.R. He supposedly has found a way to the center of the zone, which couldn't be reached before, because if you get too close to a certain area, your brain starts to melt, so no one could gather the artifacts that are there. The traders of the zone united in the endeavor to open a way into the center of the zone, and this S.T.A.L.K.E.R guy seems to be the key for that plan. The Marked One and the trader Sidorovich make an agreement. Sidorovich tries to gather as much information about S.T.A.L.K.E.R as possible, and the Marked One helps the traders to open a way to the center of the zone. The first objective for the Marked One is to go to the Agroprom Research Institute, where the military has found out something big. On his way there, the Marked One meets up with multiple stalkers with Sidorovich's helpful contacts, who lead him to S.T.A.L.K.E.R's hideout. It's located in the Agroprom underground, and he finds a hard drive with information and learns that S.T.A.L.K.E.R is part of a small group of 4 people. Fang, who already died, an unknown friend, and someone named Ghost, who's the best lead so far if he can find him. The Marked One infiltrates the research institute and gets the desired documents. He brings them to the barkeeper in the 100 Red, the biggest stalker bar inside the zone. The documents reveal that the research institute is just a disguise for an underground laboratory in the Dark Valley. The Marked One travels to Lab X-18 and finds multiple corpses of stalkers, but also scientists, as well as unknown mutants and strange embryo-like creatures in glass tanks. He gets the documents, falls unconscious, and has a vision of a hooded figure. A voice suddenly says S.T.A.L.K.E.R and the hooded figure turns around. Before the Marked One can see its face, he wakes up and has to escape from the military who storms the laboratory. The Marked One brings the documents to the barkeeper of the 100 Red, and they find out that this brain scorcher is made by humans. It's something called Kaimanov emitter, which research and production of its components happened in Lab X-18. These components were brought to another laboratory, X-16, which is located under the production complex in Lake Yanta. The scientists have a mobile laboratory there, and the Marked One has to ask them for help to find the entrance of X-16. On his way to Lake Yanta, the Marked One helps a group of scientists who get attacked by mercenaries. He escorts the survivor to Lake Yanta and meets up with the leading scientist called Sakharov. In a talk about X-16, Sakharov says that it's impossible to get into the laboratory without getting turned into a zombie by the strong emissions. To prevent that, the scientists work on a psi blocker that lowers the effects of the emissions, and the Marked One helps them to finish their work on the psi blocker. To find the entrance to X-16, the Marked One has to find a dead scientist in the swamps nearby. This one has found a way into the lab with a stalker called Ghost as his escort. He goes into the laboratory and shuts off the Kaimanov emitter before the protection of the prototype fails. Shortly after, he finds the corpse of Ghost in the hallways of the laboratory. Through Ghost's last recorded message, the Marked One learns that the last member of S.T.A.L.K.E.R's group is named Doctor and can be found through a man called Provodnik, or the Guide. The Marked One meets up with the Guide, who leads him to the location of the Doctor. There, it is revealed that the Marked One is S.T.A.L.K.E.R, and the biggest myth of the zone, the Wish Granter, is a trap. According to the stories in the zone, the Wish Granter has the power to fulfill every wish, but in reality it's just a distraction to protect the real secret of the zone. In Pripyat is a hidden decoder that opens a door inside the power plant, and behind it is a lab in which the Wish Granter is generated. S.T.A.L.K.E.R goes up north to the Red Forest, which is the border of the known zone. From here, S.T.A.L.K.E.R has to fight Monolithians, a fanatical faction of which isn't much known other than fiercely guarding the center of the zone and being well equipped. They are everywhere between the border and the nuclear power plant and try to stop him from reaching the brain scorcher. But he manages to get into Lab X-19, where the control system of the brain scorcher are, and shuts it down. After another fainting, he wakes up and hears the Wish Granter calling him. Once S.T.A.L.K.E.R leaves the laboratory, he hears the military and soon how members of the two factions, Freedom and Duty, fight each other. Now that the passage to the center has opened, every experienced stalker goes north to find the treasures in the new area. The agreement with Sidorovich and the traders is fulfilled, and S.T.A.L.K.E.R has mostly overcome his amnesia. But now he also knows what he wanted to do before his amnesia, to reveal the secret of the zone. He goes into the direction of the power plant, but has to go through the city of Pripyat first to get the decoder. Since he's one of the first to reach the city, he has to find through the dug-in monolithians. S.T.A.L.K.E.R gets the decoder and goes to the power plant, where he walks in a skirmish between the monolithians and the military. A massive emission is about to erupt, and before it goes off, S.T.A.L.K.E.R manages to get inside the reactor building. Inside, the wish granter calls him again and again, and he has to fight through dozens of monoliths. S.T.A.L.K.E.R ignores the calls and opens the door with his decoder, and behind it is a room in which the wish granter is generated. He destroys the energy source, and a holographic depiction of a scientist appears before him. S.T.A.L.K.E.R talks to him and learns about the secret of the zone. It was created in a failed experiment when it was tried to influence the noosphere, an informational field surrounding the world, which inhabits the feelings, thoughts, and emotions of all advanced cognitive species. An individual is not able to access the noosphere, which is the reason why 7 volunteers agreed to be connected into one super-consciousness called the C-consciousness. They wanted to remove negative human traits like hate and wrath from the noosphere. Unfortunately, the experiment to influence the noosphere didn't go as planned, and so the zone was created. The C-consciousness tried to stop the spread of the zone and stabilize it since then. Because the C-consciousness and a group of scientists that accompany them fear that the outside world would try to intervene in their initial plan, they tried to hide and keep the secret of the zone. For that, they use various defense mechanisms like the Kaimanov emitters, the wish granter, the monolithians, and agents of the zone. These agents get brainwashed to eliminate everyone that gets too close to the secret of the zone. S.T.A.L.K.E.R was one of these persons that had to be eliminated, but he was captured and also brainwashed to be an agent, but accidentally assigned to kill himself. The C-consciousness tries to convince him to join the consciousness and help contain the spread of the zone, but S.T.A.L.K.E.R didn't want to help them in their plans and refuses. S.T.A.L.K.E.R is determined to destroy the C-consciousness and fights towards their location, which is located behind the power plant. He finds the stasis pods of the 7 volunteers that form the C-consciousness and he destroys them.